Okay. Like the mute is on. Hey, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. We are back season 2. So if you're watching on Twitch right now live, listen, I appreciate you looking in. You see my guys right here. I appreciate you looking in. And subs are always welcome. But if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. Watch it. Send it to your friend. Share it. Tell your mom you like your girl Tiff. Get me out there. Get me popping. Let me introduce my guest. First of all, let me stop. My esteemed producer who's hiding in the back somewhere, Mr. Brian M. Thank you so much for showing up tonight and helping us out. But now, let me get to the guests. First of all, let me introduce y'all to Jimmy Butler's best friend right here, his best barista buddy, Mr. Rohan Nadkarni. Rohan, esteemed Sports Illustrated writer, all-around good guy, heat truther, and shade thrower. Rohan, say what's up to the people.
Thank you so much for having me on, Tiff. I don't know about esteemed. Definitely a writer though, and I'm happy to be on the only serious Miami Heat Beat podcast.
Oh,
The only Heat Beat podcast that knows ball. So
oh,
I'm
thank
excited to
you.
be here.
Thank you. Thank you. And as you can see, he's new, but not so new. It's my guy, Lou, Saucy Hot Takes with the Saucy Hot sign behind him. Lou, say what's up to the people.
Hey man, what is up, everybody? I think it's my first time on Mixed Bag, so thank you for having me on, Tiff and Brian,
Hmm.
and a pleasure meeting Rohan as well. Can't wait to get into this little
Yeah,
party.
wish I could say the same, man. I don't know why you guys got me on with a first timer. I didn't know about that.
Right.
They didn't give me a heads up. I got to talk to my agent. Um,
If you want the truth, I was the closest lookalike they had to Greg Sylvander on my image base. I put me on.
Oh man, you know what, Rohan? It's my bad. I'll do
Hmm.
better next time.
All right, I appreciate it,
I'll
Tiff.
do
I
better. I'll
believe in
do
you.
better. Thank you. Thank you. Somebody does. All right. So I'm gonna just jump immediately into your article. There's no one quite like Jimmy Butler. First of all, I said earlier, you had my NBA boyfriend in the article, Max Struess. Yes, I had to throw that out there. I know everybody's cringing, but they know I love Max Struess. That's it. But on a serious note, I want you to talk a little bit about what you learned from Jimmy about his ability to bounce back and be it from a singular loss or a series loss and how he's able to each year he comes back. I don't want to say a different player, but there is something different about his hunger and his thirst to win. Like what did you learn about him from being around him doing the article?
I think what I learned about Jimmy was he is someone who is, first of all, he's very authentic. He's himself at all times. He's
Mhm.
not putting on a show for me. He's not giving me his NBA player voice and I'm gonna
Mhm.
be, give my perfect little media answers. He's Jimmy Butler 100% of the time. And I think that's really
Okay.
cool. And I think what I learned about Jimmy was he's an obsessive person. He's an obsessive
Mhm.
person. He's obsessed with basketball. He's obsessed with coffee. Um, and I think that's why he's able to after basketball, as much as he loves it, as much as he loves competing, as much as he loves competing in dominoes, like he wants to experience everything in life.
Mhm.
And losing in the finals isn't going to change what motivates him. I asked
Right.
Jimmy, um, Pat Riley said it at the end of the season. After the season, he had his press conference and he said, Jimmy's the kind of player who doesn't need a pat on the back. I asked Jimmy
Mhm.
about that. And he's like, I know what I play for every single night. I know what motivates me every night. It's
Right.
my kids, it's my family, it's everything he's been through. So that motivation, he doesn't need
Mhm.
to go to a dark place. That he lives on the edge of that motivation every single night, and I think that's what makes him special.
Right. What do you think and Lou, feel free to chime in. But what do you think it's going to take to break through? Like what's the breakthrough right here? Because um if he's expressing to you, I don't need to go to that place, that he can mentally get past it, get over it, and keep knocking on that wall. So what's next though? Because how much longer can he just keep knocking on this wall?
I mean, I don't think he thinks he's slowing down in terms of what it's going to take. I don't think it's going to take more from Jimmy. I think he's given
Mm-hmm.
the team everything he possibly could, and I think now it's on the team to make sure that they can go to that next level. And Tiff, this I know we'll probably get to this at some point. I made a joke about it, but I think they're supporting cast. I don't think they need a third star, and I know that it's very enticing to see when teams get, the Bucks going to get Damian Lillard, the Celtics going to get Drew Holiday, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think the Heat need a third superstar. I just think they need a better, more well-rounded supporting cast. I
Mm-hmm.
think they have some intriguing pieces that could be good for them this year. I think they have interesting potential, but I just think getting a more well-rounded team around him, more consistent guys.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, they were in the finals last year. I didn't think they were going to beat Denver. I thought that would be a 5-game series, but you get a couple more, I just think, accomplished vets in next to Jimmy. You've seen what he can do with the
Right.
team that he has. So I think that they don't need a lot more, but they
Mm-hmm.
do need more.
Okay.
It's funny that you say accomplished vets because when you think of accomplished veteran guys, obviously you think of guys like Kevin Love, who obviously did help to get us there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this team, a lot of the fan base has very kind of like the show. It's like a mixed opinion on just in general everything that happened because I feel like they chose a different route, a route of youth. And I'm interested to see what you think of this youth. And how do you think Jimmy feels about this?
Well, I don't want to put words in Jimmy's
No.
mouth, but I think that
Right.
I think that he feels confident with any group that he has.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's a quote that didn't make it into the story, and I was rereading some of the stuff today, but he was like, nobody's gonna pick us, nobody's
Mhm.
gonna pick a team
Mm-hmm.
that I'm on, and he's like, I don't give a fuck about any of y'all. Is what he said to me. So I think he's always going to be confident in himself, confident what he can get out of a group. People said he wasn't going to make the finals with Gabe Vincent and Max Strus starting
Right.
with him, and I think he gives guys confidence.
Mm-hmm.
There's a part of my story. He gave Max confidence after that Derek White shot. Going back to 2020, you guys remember how Duncan Robinson started the finals. Duncan told me a story at
Mm-hmm.
midnight. He hears a knock on his hotel door in the bubble, and it's Jimmy. He says for 10 minutes, they talk about basketball. For an hour, they just talk about life and stuff. Like Jimmy is constantly putting confidence into these guys, and he gets his rep as this teammate who's very intense and angry, but he's all about putting confidence in these guys. So I think that he's ready to compete with whoever's on the team. In terms of the quote unquote youth movement, I think the Heat are a team that's been especially kind of blindsided by the second apron. I think a lot of NBA front offices aren't sure how that's going to play out. The Heat are a team that doesn't love paying the tax. Now, on top of that, they got the second apron to deal with. Pat Riley told me when I spoke to him, that's something that's a concern for them. It's a concern about how they're going to build this team out with that looming over them. So I don't think they necessarily want a youth movement, but their hand has been
Right.
forced a little bit because of the new CBA. But I do think they have moves on the board. Kyle Lowry, you think about what Russell Westbrook went through last season. People thought he might have been on his way out of the NBA. He gets moved at the trade deadline. The Lakers end up making the conference finals. So I do think the Heat have a couple players, contracts, picks that could be interesting, but this season's going to be a work in progress.
Right. So, and it's funny. I kind of want to move towards the hot take. The hot take that you had on Twitter, what was it, 2 days ago? And I told you, don't even talk about it. Hold that thought. So, Lou, are you familiar with Rohan's hot take? Because I want to come to you first before Rohan even goes into this.
I haven't heard it, but as a person whose name is Saucy Takes, I can't wait to hear it.
What's going on? Who is this dude? He's not even following all my takes.
Hey man, I'm a busy person.
So
aside from doing what is it called? Like for Greg, I didn't know what it's called. Like filling, like there's not even filling in aside from doing like little imposter shit for Greg. I mean, I'm a busy guy.
Let me give you the Sparks Notes version. Okay. Basically, Rohan said if Jimmy and Bam would have the Celtics supporting cast, they'd have a couple of chips right now. So what do you think?
My initial reaction is I think they'd have one.
Okay.
Bro, what do you mean reasonable for? What's that about?
Nah, but the reason I say that is because I think Horford specifically is probably exactly what Bam needs next to him.
Mhm.
That's what they've
Mhm.
been looking for. That's what they've been missing. That's what they're like scouring everything for, and they just can't find. Obviously, I think Drew, Derek White. I mean, shit. I think that team. I think we beat Denver if I'm being honest. If he had those pieces around him, but I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that much of a hot take. I think it's gonna rub people the wrong way because they're on the Celtics. I don't think Heat fans want to hear that shit. But personally, I don't think it's wrong. Like, definitely one, maybe two, is the way I'd look at it.
This is no disrespect to guys like Caleb, Duncan, Gabe,
Right.
At all.
Max, who balled out last postseason. But if you gave Jimmy and Bam, Derek White, Grant Williams, and Marcus Smart,
Mhm.
they're winning the title in 22 at least. All right. Horford, we're always talking about why doesn't Bam play the four? There's maybe 2-3 centers in the league who make sense next to Bam. Horford is one of them. That dude's a
Yep.
beast. He locks down Embiid. He's
Yep.
one of the best post defenders in the NBA. He can shoot threes, even though he didn't shoot well last postseason. I mean, think about the front court flexibility that Tatum and Brown have had with Rob Williams,
Mm.
Grant Williams, Al Horford.
Yep.
I think that the Heat would be a juggernaut. You gave them Derek White. Imagine that team with Derek White. I mean, I think what White did in the postseason last year, if we want to get really spicy, I'm not going to say it. I'm not. We'll save that for the next week's bag.
Nah,
But
nah, say
um,
it, because I think I know where you're headed with this.
I think if the Heat called up the Celtics and said, "Would give you Tyler Hero for Derek White," the Celtics would say, "Hell no." And whether that's fair, unfair, I
Mm.
think that the Derek White is the kind of player the Heat needs. So
Yep.
I'm not. I'm not going to say it's Tatum slander. All I'm going to say is I'll put it this way: when people put Jason Tatum above Jimmy Butler. And I get it. Tatum's not even entered his prime yet. Okay. Jimmy Butler's 33, 34. Jason Tatum, he still has a lot of years to go. But I don't think there's a player in the NBA. And I say this as someone who's the biggest Bam fan in the world, wrote a story on Bam. Jimmy Butler has done more with less than any other superstar in the last 4 years. And I don't think you can question that. He's never
Mhm.
had a second great score. Think about
Yep.
Kawhi and PG, LeBron and AD, Durant
Mhm.
and Kyrie, Durant and Booker, Jokic and Murray. List goes on. Tatum and Brown. Jimmy's never had a
Durant
number
and
two like that.
Harden.
Exactly. Now Bam's different. I mean, I think he's the best defender in the NBA, but there's a lot of pressure on Jimmy in the playoffs, and he delivers time and time again in a way that I don't think he even gets enough credit
Right.
for.
I personally don't even think it's crazy to say that the second best scorer that Jimmy's had in the playoffs has been Goran Dragic. In
Yeah,
that bubble
it's
run.
true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Completely
And
true. Great point.
And that was off of how much rest? 4 months?
Yep.
5 months?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what we're looking at. I didn't think it was a hot take. I thought it was hilarious that you said it. That's
Oh.
because I literally was that meme peeking behind the bushes waiting to see people throwing eggs at you. 'Cause
I loved it. Listen, it got the response I wanted, which was a lot of Celtics fans mad at me, a lot of Heat fans agreeing with me.
right.
I was having fun with it. I normally don't drop a lot of takes like that for free on Twitter, but that was one I've been sitting on for a little while, and it felt fun to put that out there.
No, it is interesting because when Jimmy got traded to the Heat, I didn't see him doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And if anyone said they saw this, I'd call bullshit. Like
Absolutely.
I saw him getting to the playoffs. I didn't see him elevating his game to the point where I thought I might be watching Michael Jordan at times. Like it was that ridiculous. And him carrying players. But I think the question is because he doesn't have that supporting cast. He's got who he got. And I don't know how much preseason you've watched, Rohan, but who do you see breaking into this rotation?
I was really, Tiff, I think we're on the same page here. I was really excited about Haywood. And that injury, I think, is a huge bummer. I will say, talking to people when I was doing the Jimmy story, first of all, let me tell you a quick story, Tiff. I tried to get Pat Riley to admit that Jimmy Butler exceeded their expectations. He wouldn't take the bait. I asked him a very leading question. Pat's been in the game for way
Right.
too long though, too smart. But I was like, Pat, like when you guys signed Jimmy in 2019, the franchise was in a tough place, and you know,
Right.
what would you say the expectations were when you got him? And he was just like, Pat knows. He knows what I was getting at, and he was like,
Mm-hmm.
he was just like, the expectations were high with Jimmy. So I do think to an extent, the organization has expected this, but I have to believe deep down, even they kind of can't
Right.
believe what Jimmy's done.
Mhm.
As far as this year breakthrough, man, I was high on Haywood, and I've been high on
Mm-hmm.
Haywood. I thought he had nice moments during that playoff run when he
He
got in
did.
last year. His defense is already there. I mean,
Yep.
he has the thing, something that you cannot teach in defenders. And I'm not saying he's Draymond Green. Let me preface this, but Draymond Green has it. I think the best defenders in the world, what they do best is that they have timing down
Mm,
perfectly. It's very hard to get elite players timing down. You think
right.
about the times like Haywood like stripped Jason Tatum. Like Haywood's coming in cold, hasn't played in a playoff game, and like
Mm-hmm.
he got in late. What was in that game 5 loss to Boston? He got in late, but he had some nice moments, and that's very hard to do. And I think Haywood has kind of that innate timing ability. The 3-point shot, if the 3-point shot that we've seen in the preseason is
Mm-hmm.
legit for Haywood, I don't think you can keep a player like that out of
Right.
the rotation. So I was really excited about him, honestly, probably more than anyone else. I am, people are obviously excited about the young guys, and I get it, but we've seen Jovic play very few minutes in the NBA, and
Right.
I'm just not there yet as some other people are.
Right. What about you, Lou? Who do you think? And you can't say
Um,
Hayward because we already
I'm
we
not. I'm not gonna say Haywood, even though my most liked tweet up until recently was a thread on Haywood Highsmith winning the Heat of series before it happened against Boston. Because I've been on this bandwagon since summer league last year.
Let's go, Lou.
I think he should. I have no question in my mind. He should be he should be a starting 4 next year. But if I'm gonna pick the guy, I'm gonna pick the guy I just wrote an article about, or like a little short story, I guess, whatever you want to call it on Twitter. It's Jaime.
Mm,
The reason I say Jaime
Mm,
is because I feel like people have this false idea of Spoelstra not liking rookies. I don't think that's true. I think Spo doesn't like when rookies make rookie mistakes.
mm,
If you guys remember Precious, he got PT. He made rookie mistakes, got
mhm.
sat down and traded.
mm-hmm.
Bam was given PT with Hassan on the team after a max. Tyler was giving a role as soon as he got stepped foot onto this team. Winslow, Richardson. It took Richardson some time, but he was a second round pick. It's there for the taking for Jaime.
Right.
My point with Jaime is this team desperately needs what Goran and Tyler used to provide in that 2020 run, scoring off the bench. They missed it last year. It's some of the reasons for their struggles. Once Tyler got inserted into that starting lineup, Lowry wasn't at that level physically to provide scoring off the bench. They didn't really have a scorer off the bench until Caleb went there. And it's just, in my personal opinion, I think I feel like the Heat ceiling, and I know it's
Mm-hmm.
going to sound crazy, he's a rookie, rest on how much they can trust him. Offensively, defensively. I think if he comes into this year and he takes over that 6-man role, primary ball handler off the bench, he doesn't have to be the point guard. The Heat don't run with a fucking point guard, for God's sakes. They didn't even last year when Gabe was on the team up until Tyler got hurt. They do point guard by committee. Not saying that they don't need one. I'm just saying that it's helpful that Jaime can make reads. He can get to his spots. He does play in the mid post. He has great footwork. He gets to the line. He's strong. He has an NBA body. If that shot ever comes along, much like to Highsmith's point, I think the Heat found themselves a gold mine with this kid.
Right.
Damn,
I
Lou is
agree.
spitting. He had me hyped up. I
Oh,
was
you
like,
know,
yo,
you
I was
know who
like,
Lou is now, don't you?
yeah,
You
I was
know
like,
who Lou is
whoa,
now.
whoa. I need that sign even brighter next time.
Shit,
Man.
don't tempt me. I got the controller right here. Shit, put that away.
But Lou, I think you're 100% right. I think for me, when it comes to Jaime, is will he be able to make that occasional open 3?
Mm-hmm.
Because that right there is because
Mhm.
I'm really concerned about this team's outside shooting. That's my biggest concern. They got a lot of slashers. They got a lot of guys that can do a lot of little things, but we need guys that can hit the consistent 3. Like
Mhm.
you need that.
I couldn't agree more. And I know this isn't him related, but I think that's a reason why Cole Swider sticks around, because he's shown he could do that. And
He ain't sticking around.
I
He
don't
gonna
think
get a
he's.
two-way. He gonna get a two-way.
Everybody likes to say a two-way isn't enough. Caleb Martin started on a two-way, got
No,
converted
but
halfway through the
no,
year.
it's enough. It's enough. But I'm saying he that what do they got? One spot left. You can't give it to Cole. You got
No. You want me to
you,
be? You want
you're
me to be real
starting out
saucy
at a
with my take,
deficit.
Tiff?
You're
Tiff.
starting out at a deficit right now. If my guy Hamish is injured, Josh has a whatever. We have no idea about his foot. So Caleb, what knee tendonitis, hasn't played all. So you're at a deficit. So as much as Cole could be a luxury,
Mm-hmm.
like he's the Mercedes, but you got Ford money.
Yeah.
So it's not, you
Yeah.
can't afford to do that right now. Like you
And
literally can't afford to give him a contract right now, other than a two-way.
it's crazy you say that, Tiff, because as Rohan saying, he was saying earlier, this team doesn't have enough. So then you start looking at some of the pieces that can help them get to quote unquote enough. And
Mhm.
it's gonna sound crazy, and I hope my dad's not listening to this podcast because it's his favorite Heat player. But I think the guy that will eventually get moved, that's the most easily replaceable.
Mhm.
I don't think he will get moved. Let me say that just because after what he did, but I think it's Caleb Martin. The reason I say that is because I think Jamal Cain can do most of the things he can do, and Caleb can get you a nice little return at point guard.
So
And we
Kane is
could,
able.
oh, for
It's very
sure, he should be
interesting.
on the roster. I think he should have a roster spot. I think his shot looks better. He's a little lengthier than Martin. I'm not saying he's particularly better, but he's
Right.
had a year in the system. What he was doing in summer league, shooting the ball, what he was doing in the G League, shooting the ball, what he's been doing in this preseason,
Mm.
he's looked like the best. He's doing the intangible things. He's grabbing offensive rebounds, gets the putbacks. His shot looks nice. Things that we were seeing from Caleb, we are now seeing from Kane. And I think last year, if you would have said Caleb Martin would have won the Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, people would have fucking laughed at you and spit in your face. Yet here we were.
Why are they spitting?
Why? Why
too?
they gotta spit?
Why can't
Why
they
they
just
gotta
laugh?
spit?
Yeah, that seems a little.
Shit, maybe they got a lisp or something. I don't know.
That's interesting. So I will say I'm a big Caleb fan,
Yeah, me too.
and it's funny, not to toot my own horn. I told Caleb, like after game 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals when they were back in Miami, and I was like, I really think you should be starting, and he just laughed. I was like, I'm pretty sure you're going to be starting soon. I think you've been the third best player on this team, and sure enough, he started starting by the end of that series. Trading him is interesting, and I hadn't thought about that possibility, but it is an interesting sweetener to throw in. If Kane and Haywood show you something,
Mhm.
it's something to think about, because if you can combine Martin with Lowry, that gets you to a bigger salary number. They want to send out as much money as possible. That's a very interesting one that I've not thought of, but is definitely something to think about.
All right. So if we have to say who might crack the rotation, who do you think won't crack the rotation?
I am not convinced about Jovic, not because I don't think he's talented, and I do think he showed a lot in that FIBA World Cup, but what's the one thing Spo just does not accept, and that's bad defense. And I'm not saying Jovic is a bad defender or can't be a good one day, but he hasn't proven that. And we've seen him hold back guys. We've seen him take out guys. We've seen him get frustrated with guys. So that's one I'm keeping my eye on, only because, with these injuries right now, Jovic may have to play early here.
Yep.
But, the Heat, I remember at the start of Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, I knew they meant business that game because they started switching from the very first pick and roll. And obviously, Game 1 of the regular season is not Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals. But when push comes to shove and Spo wants to get a win, it comes down to defense. That's the kind of coach he's always been, as frustrating as it can be at times for people.
Yep.
And I'm just, and it's not that Kevin Love is great, but he's a veteran. It's a little different. I'm just not convinced Jovic is going to be so good offensively that Spo's ready to trust his defense. But he's going to have a chance to prove it.
Okay.
I think he gave the only right answer. And I hate that I said that because I love Jovic. And I do think I do think this team, and I'm gonna keep saying this. I think this team's peak goes as Jaime and Jovic go. I think you need young people to step up.
Mm-hmm.
Highsmith is one of them. I'm just basically like the unproven people. That's what determines how far this team will go. Why? Because we know what Jimmy's going to give you. We know
Right.
what Bam's going to give you. To Rohan's point, Bam isn't a secondary scorer. I don't think he ever should be, to be
Right,
honest.
right.
I think he's best suited primary defender, third option on offense.
Mhm.
But we haven't given him that luxury. If Tyler steps up and takes that, then we're looking at something different. But basically, just Jovic's upside might be there, but I just think his path to some playing time looks so rough once you
Mhm.
consider what they gave Love, signing Thomas Bryant, and him looking good. Highsmith showing up the way he has, still having Caleb who likes to play. I don't know, man. I think a lot of injuries would have to be in play for Jovic to play. And I don't know if that's gonna happen. I wish he would play because I do think he
Right.
can provide something.
Right. Well, here we are. We're starting the season with
Mhm.
injuries. So if he was going to play, this is it. Because if Hayward is out for 2 weeks, we don't know what's happening with Jay Rich. We don't know if Caleb's on a minutes restriction. So this is the point. This is the time. If
Mhm.
he's going to play, he's going to play now. And obviously, if he doesn't play, then we know pretty much what it's going to look like for him for at least the first couple of months of the season. Um, Somebody we really haven't talked about that I feel like we have to address, and I'm gonna go to you first, Lou. What do you want to see this season from Tyler?
Oh my God. I'm so glad you got to me, Tiff. Because I want to see this season from Tyler Hero what I've been wanting to see when people didn't want to trade him for said stars. And in my personal opinion, if Tyler ever wants to take the leap offensively to be called an elite scorer, I think he's a good scorer. I don't think he's elite. It's got to be efficiency. And you know what that starts with? What
Yep.
is the best thing Tyler does? Better than any player in the NBA last year. Free throws. Get to the line.
Yep.
He needs to get to the line. Because if Tyler just as much gets to the line 6 times a game, he got to the line 3 times a game. That's already a 3-point difference. You're talking from 20 and a half to 23, 24 a game. True shooting percentage goes up. Offense goes up. Rating goes up offensively. You know, that's what I feel like that's what you need to see from Tyler. Just efficiency in every area. If his field goal percentage could just be a couple points better. If his 3-point percentage could just be a couple points better. If he could shoot the same for free throws. He just needs to take more of them. All of a sudden, you're looking at a 25 point per game scorer easily. And I think it's attainable. I truly think it's attainable. I think this is going to be the year he has the most to prove, because you can just tell in these interviews, and I don't know, maybe Rohan has talked to him or has been around him. He looks like he has an edge to him this year. And I root for guys like that. And I know that's probably what's going to drive him. I'm just curious to see how much it drives him. Like, does it really, like, how much does this play into teams not wanting you? I want to see you go out there against Portland and drop 45. I want to see you talk your shit. Why? Because I want this team to win. God damn it. Tyler Hero, we fucking need you at that charity stripe, my boy.
First of all, again, another great breakdown from Lou. He's right on the money about the free throws. I'm being in all seriousness. He's right on the money.
Yeah.
That's something Tyler's talked about. That's an important part of an elite scorer's game. I'll say this. I think this summer is the biggest fan I've ever been of Tyler Hero. I think the way he's handled everything has been beyond professional, beyond his years. He's said all the right things, not pouted, not complained.
Right.
And what he's been through is tough. Not only is the team that drafted you thinking about trading you, then you have to see all these reports. This team doesn't want you. This guy doesn't think you're good enough, etc. I think he's handled it better than everyone. Yes, I'm with you. I think going to the free throw line more would be a huge step for him. But for me, it's not about scoring with Tyler. And I think back 2022 when Max Strus was in the starting lineup and the Heat went to Game 7 against Boston. I did a short story on Max, and I talked to his college coach at Lewis, his D3 school, before he went to DePaul. And it's funny because his college coach was like, "Oh, in college we were trying to get Max to play the defense that he's playing now." So like, think about it. Max Strus was getting maybe beat when he was playing D3, but then you see him in the Eastern Conference Finals, and he's standing up Jason Tatum. And that's working on your game. That's effort. That's improvement. And I think Tyler works at it he's got some physical disadvantages
Yeah.
relative to NBA players that make it tough for him at that
Right.
position, especially. But to me, the scoring's going to be there. That's never been the problem for me. It's going to come down to, can he find a way to get stops on the
Mm-hmm.
other end of the floor? And
Yep.
that's just what I want to see. That's what I want to see the years. The scoring's exciting, but when it comes down to it at playoff time, who are the coaches going to trust?
Yep.
You can't have someone who, you're going to have players who get targeted.
Right.
Derek White even got targeted, and he's a great defender. You're always going to have someone be a target. It's, can they win enough that they're not a liability? And that's just what I want
Right.
to see from Tyler. And I think he works at it. I don't think he's lazy. I don't think he doesn't care about defense. He knows.
Right.
He knows. What I'm saying is not news, certainly. So that's just what I want to see. How much fight is he going to bring on that end of the floor? And I think
Right.
he's really motivated.
I think like so I agree with both of you guys. And then there's this other thing for me that I talk about where people think that I'm just like saying it in a vacuum. He needs to find a way to do all those things, but do it in harmony with Jimmy and Bam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because I I I don't know how many more times I can read that he needs to be an all-star this year. He needs to, and all the things that people are saying, these are all like singular things. These are all things that he can point to himself. Listen, this team is at the point where they need to win, but they need to win with him playing in concert with the other two guys. It
Yep.
can't just be about him getting his numbers and being an all-star, because if that's the case, they're not going anywhere. And sometimes his numbers might need to come back a little bit to be able to fit into the fray, especially in the starting lineup when you're starting with Jimmy and Bam. Because every night it can't be a 30-point night from Tyler.
I think that
And if
you're right. You're right on the money. I think you're right on the money, and I think that uh, I will say one of the reasons we get these big Jimmy performances in the playoffs is because he has to make it happen. And so the
Mhm.
harmony thing's a great point, because we want to see playoff Jimmy be able to be playoff Jimmy even when Tyler's on the floor. But this is going to be the most motivated we've ever seen him.
Right. And I'm hoping, because they need it. Like there
Mhm.
is no other way to look at it, but they need it, because if they don't get it, this is when a lot of questions start floating around. So, and I don't want to, it's kind of like you don't want the team to get to that point where they're all looking at each other like, you were supposed to do this, you were supposed to do that, because you want it to stay a we. And it seems
Mhm.
like you said earlier, Jimmy's that guy that continues to build people up. So you want that harmony to stay within this team. So I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him to have a successful season, and I'm rooting for him to just have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Um, Now I want to end with some fun. I have two questions that I want to end with, and I'm just curious to see where your mind's going. Rohan, I'm coming to you first. It's 2 minutes left in the game. Game's tied 98-98. Who is Spo closing with?
This is not going to be a popular answer. This is who I want to see. I want to see Josh, Caleb, Jimmy, Haywood, and Bam. That's a lineup I'm excited to see.
Ooh.
It's a lineup I'm really excited to see, especially if Haywood's shooting like I think he's going to shoot.
Mm, that sounds like clamps. Who
Hmm.
you got, Lou?
That was my same exact five.
There we
Do not,
go, Lou.
Oh,
I do not want Kyle Lowry on the floor. I do not want Kevin Love on the floor. Give me your four best defenders and your best 3-point shooter outside of Duncan. It's, to me, it's just that simple.
Hmm.
Ball's in Jimmy's
okay.
hands anyways.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
With that lineup, it definitely is. There's
Make it
there's
happen.
there's no other way to look at it. All right. Now, this is a two-parter. This is a two-parter. One, well, A, let's go there. A, what would it mean for Jimmy to win the MVP this year? And the second part of that, what will Jimmy's hair look like when
Hmm.
he accepts said award?
Mm.
Rohan, go ahead.
Well, um, one of the things we asked Jimmy for the magazine was, tell us an under the radar MVP candidate.
Mhm.
And his answer was not Jimmy Butler. He has zero desire to win MVP. He doesn't want to win it, even though he was incredible last year. Yeah, that I can say that he has no interest in winning that award. Um, uh, what would it take for him to win it, though? Gosh, let me put it this way. I'll say this about Jimmy. He had a very underrated regular season last year, and he doesn't put up 30 points, but he's one of the players in the NBA that makes the fewest mistakes on a nightly basis. And that's what makes him special. He doesn't take anything off the floor. He's always making the right decision. What hairstyle? Oh gosh, I think he's got to go for like a surfer look next. I think I'm going bleach blonde for Jimmy's next hairstyle stunt. That would be my pick.
Okay. Lou, what you got?
What would it mean for Jimmy to win MVP next year? Nothing. Not a damn thing. Like Rohan said, I don't think he cares about winning MVP unless there's the word finals before that MVP. What will his hairstyle be? I would say like a really tall mohawk. Like just really spiky everywhere. Like, I don't know. Maybe he brings back the earrings and like the little nose piercing. You never know with Jimmy Butler, man. It's a box of surprises.
No, you don't. I want to say thank you guys for joining. This has been
my
fun.
Pleasure.
This has been a lot of fun. Lou, you're light. I don't know. We're gonna get back to that. We'll get back to that. But Rohan, tell people where they can find you, where they can read all your articles, all the things.
Yeah, listen, you can follow me on Twitter at Rohan Nadkarni. Please read Sports Illustrated. I got to feed my family. So keep the clicks coming. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Tiff. Shout out to Heatbeat. Everyone, you guys always show me a ton of support, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Lou, tell the people where they can find you. Besides the nightclub.
Besides the bat signal sign. Besides the bat signal sign in the air.
It says Saucy Takes, guys. Saucy Takes on Twitter.
I love how he had to turn it off for us to be able to read it.
Stop it, man. Stop it. Cut me some slack. I got the sign yesterday. I put it up with some bobby pins and stuff. Some little tic tacs or whatever you call them. But yeah, Saucy Takes on Twitter. And on I think Instagram, but I don't really use it. But just mostly Saucy Takes on Twitter, man. Thank you, Tiff, first of all, and Brian behind the scenes, and MHB for giving me a platform to a random guy in the middle of fucking nowhere. I mean, Hialeah somewhere, but we moved out of there.
Hialeah. He's like middle of nowhere. I mean, Hialeah.
It is what it is.
Appreciate you, Lou. I want to say thank you to my shadow man in the dark, Brian, for producing this show. Also, for all you out there at home listening, watching, Twitter, YouTube, however you get it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And remember, you are seen, you are heard, and you are loved.
Bless.
Studio, I'll do this shit myself.